Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done, by Bossidy and Charan. Picture this. It's late evening, and a CEO sits alone in his corner office. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sparkles like a constellation below. But inside, the atmosphere is anything but bright. He's exhausted, frustrated, and struggling to explain to a visitor how his brilliant, game-changing strategy completely crashed and burned. "I just don't understand," he says, shaking his head. "We hired the absolute best consultants money could buy. We had endless meetings, set sky-high goals. I gave my team everything, empowered them completely. These weren't just smart people, they were the best in the industry. And somehow, we completely missed the mark. I've had to revise our earnings estimates down 4 times this year. The board? They've completely lost confidence in me. Honestly, I think they're about to show me the door." A few weeks later, that's exactly what happened. Here's the thing. This isn't some made-up cautionary tale. This scene plays out in boardrooms across the globe every single day. You've seen the headlines about corporate giants, companies led by brilliant minds with inspiring visions and seemingly unlimited resources, somehow failing spectacularly to deliver on their promises. They've got the strategy down pat, they've assembled incredible talent, but there's this enormous invisible chasm between what they dream of achieving and what actually gets done. This is what authors Bossidy and Charan call the gap nobody knows. Bossidy, who ran Honeywell International as chairman and CEO, and Charan, a legendary advisor to top CEOs worldwide, are two of the most trusted voices in business. They've spent decades inside both the marble-floored boardrooms and the grease-stained factory floors of the world's most successful companies. And they spotted something everyone else was missing. They discovered that the real difference between companies that soar and those that stumble isn't about having a flashier strategy. It's not about more vision or charisma. It's something far more fundamental, something most people completely overlook, because, frankly, it doesn't sound particularly glamorous. It's about execution. In their #1 New York Times bestselling book, Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done, Bossidy and Charan make a compelling case that execution isn't just the boring, tactical grunt work of business. It's actually a discipline all its own, a complete system, a culture, and honestly, the single most important job of any leader. This book has sold millions of copies, because it finally put a name to that frustrating missing link between our goals and our results. So here's what I'm going to do for you. By the time we're done here, you'll understand this hidden discipline inside and out. You'll learn why even the most brilliant ideas are essentially worthless without it, and you'll discover the 3 core processes that a select group of the world's most successful leaders use to transform their visions into concrete reality. And here's the best part. This isn't just a lesson for corner office executives. This is for anyone who's ever set a goal and wondered why it's so frustratingly hard to actually achieve. This is the secret to finally closing that gap, once and for all. Let's kick things off with an interesting question. Imagine 2 companies, both with sharp leaders and solid strategies. Why does one consistently crush it while the other struggles? Most people would immediately say the winner must have a superior strategy. But here's where the authors flip the script. That's almost never the real reason. Strategies usually fail not because they're flawed, but because they're poorly executed. Think about it this way. Imagine a brilliant architect designs the most breathtaking skyscraper you've ever seen. The blueprints are absolutely perfect, a genuine work of art. But what happens if the construction crew can't make sense of those plans? What if they don't pour the foundation correctly? Or if the plumbers, electricians, and steelworkers can't coordinate their efforts? That gorgeous design stays stuck on paper. Even worse, it might turn into a structurally unsound disaster waiting to happen. Execution is that critical bridge between the blueprint and the actual skyscraper. It's what transforms a dream into something real. Want a perfect real-world example? Look at the showdown between Compaq and Dell computers back in the late 1990s. At the time, Compaq was an absolute giant. Its CEO, Eckhard Pfeiffer, had this audacious vision to dominate the entire computer industry, everything from tiny handheld devices to massive corporate servers. And he moved at breakneck speed, acquiring companies left and right to build his empire. On paper, his strategy looked absolutely genius. Meanwhile, down in Texas, there was this guy named Michael Dell who wasn't particularly interested in grand, sweeping visions. He was laser-focused on one elegantly simple idea: build computers only when someone orders them and sell directly to customers. This wasn't just a clever sales tactic, it was the entire strategy, and his company's ability to execute that strategy was absolutely flawless. While Compaq was churning out thousands of computers based on forecasts, essentially guessing what customers might want and watching them gather dust in warehouses, Dell refused to build a single machine until an actual order came through. This meant Dell had virtually zero unsold inventory sitting around. In the lightning-fast world of technology, where components get cheaper and outdated almost overnight, this was an absolutely massive advantage. Dell could offer cutting-edge technology at lower prices, while Compaq was stuck writing off entire warehouses full of yesterday's machines. Dell's relentless focus on execution, on the how of business, is precisely why it overtook the much larger Compaq to become the world's biggest PC maker. The difference wasn't the vision, it was the discipline of actually getting things done. So what exactly is this discipline? The authors break it down into 3 core components, but they all rest on one crucial foundation. Execution isn't just a collection of tactics. It's a complete culture, and it absolutely starts with the leader. The first building block is what the authors call the leader's 7 essential behaviors. These aren't personality traits you're born with, they're concrete actions. They're the specific things that leaders who excel at execution actually do. First up, they genuinely know their people and their business. This sounds obvious, right? But it's shocking how many leaders are completely disconnected from the day-to-day realities of their organizations. They sit in their offices scanning filtered reports, but they don't have any real sense of what's actually happening on the ground. Larry Bossidy tells this great story about visiting one of his plants. He doesn't just breeze through for a polite tour and some corporate small talk. He goes deep. He spends hours with the plant manager, asking tough, specific questions like, "Why is your quality department reporting to manufacturing?" That's like letting the fox guard the hen house. Or, "You've got 9 plants for a $600 million business. You need fewer. Which ones are you planning to close?" This isn't micromanaging, it's genuine engagement. A leader who's deeply involved like this learns the unfiltered truth about the business, and, just as importantly, the people working there know their leader cares enough to truly understand their world. It builds trust and brings reality to the surface. The second behavior is insisting on realism. Organizations are often packed with people who avoid hard truths. They want to sidestep confrontation, bury mistakes, or paint a rosier picture than what actually exists. A leader who executes forces people to face reality head-on, even when it's deeply uncomfortable. They create a culture where honest, sometimes difficult conversations are just standard operating procedure. Bossidy calls this the pursuit of, quote, truth over harmony. In a healthy culture, a robust debate is infinitely more valuable than polite, surface-level agreement. Third, leaders who execute set crystal-clear goals and priorities. They don't juggle 10 priorities. They focus on 3 or 4 at most. If a leader claims they have 10 priorities, they honestly don't know what's truly important. Having just a few clear, achievable goals gives everyone in the organization a reliable compass. It helps them make the right trade-offs every single day without constantly asking permission. Fourth, and this might be the absolute cornerstone, they follow through relentlessly. How many meetings have you sat through where everyone nods enthusiastically about a great idea, but a month later, absolutely nothing has happened? It's because nobody was held accountable. There was zero follow-through. A leader who executes ends every meeting by crystal clearly defining who will do what, by when, and exactly how it'll be measured. They establish a steady rhythm of accountability. Fifth, they genuinely reward the doers. In so many companies, there's shockingly little difference between the rewards given to top performers and those handed to merely average ones. This absolutely kills motivation. A culture of execution makes it abundantly clear that rewards are based purely on performance, period. The best performers get the biggest rewards, and people who consistently underperform are either coached to improve or moved out. It's about being fair, not about treating everyone identically. Sixth, they actively expand people's capabilities through coaching. A leader's job isn't just producing results, it's developing the next generation of leaders. Every single interaction becomes an opportunity to teach. Instead of simply barking orders, they ask probing questions that force their people to think independently and discover their own solutions. This is how you build a progressively stronger, smarter organization over time. And finally, the seventh behavior is knowing yourself. This is about having what the authors call emotional fortitude. It's that inner strength to remain open to criticism, to handle conflict without flinching, to admit when you're wrong, and to make tough decisions without hesitation. It's about having the humility to genuinely listen and learn, and the authenticity to be the same person privately as you are publicly. Without this inner strength, a leader simply can't build a culture rooted in honesty and realism. These 7 behaviors create the foundation. They establish the right environment. But to truly build a culture of execution, you need an actual system. This brings us to the second major building block, creating the framework for cultural change. Most attempts to change a company's culture fail spectacularly because they're way too abstract. Leaders talk endlessly about values and teamwork, but they never connect those fuzzy concepts to the actual work people do daily. The authors have this wonderfully simple, powerful mantra. You don't think your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of thinking. You transform a culture by changing behaviors, and you change behaviors by linking them directly to tangible results and meaningful rewards. The key to this is what the authors call the social software of the organization. If the hardware of a company is its structure and strategy, the software is its beliefs and behavioral norms. The most crucial part of this software is the company's social operating mechanisms, which are essentially the meetings and reviews where the actual work of the business gets hammered out. Think about your typical corporate meeting. It's often a mind-numbing, one-way presentation with practically zero real debate. People are terrified to speak up, disagree, or challenge assumptions. In a culture of execution, these meetings get completely transformed. They become vibrant forums for robust dialogue, candid, informal, and intense conversations laser-focused on uncovering the truth. At General Electric under Jack Welch, an absolute master of execution, meetings were legendary. They definitely weren't for the faint of heart. Ideas got challenged hard, assumptions were aggressively questioned, and people were held accountable right there on the spot. But these intense dialogues ensured that every plan was thoroughly grounded in reality before anyone put it into action. It was in these pressure cooker meetings that GE's culture was truly forged, a culture built on speed, brutal honesty, and an obsession with results. This brings us to the final and arguably most critical building block of execution, the job no leader should delegate, having the right people in the right place. The authors are absolutely emphatic about this. The quality of your people is hands down your single greatest competitive advantage. Yet leaders routinely spend more time fussing over budgets and strategy than they do selecting and developing their people. Larry Bossidy says that when he was turning around Allied Signal, he personally spent 40% of his time on people, hiring them, evaluating them, and coaching them. Why do so many companies get this catastrophically wrong? The authors point to several common traps. Sometimes leaders pick people they're simply comfortable with, people who think exactly like them and never challenge them. This psychological comfort factor leads to weak, insular teams. Other times, leaders just lack the emotional courage to confront underperformers and make the tough call to replace them. So what kind of people should you actually be looking for? The authors say don't get seduced by the person with the fancy MBA who talks an impressive game. Look for the doer. Look for the person who genuinely gets a thrill from accomplishing things, who's absolutely relentless in pursuing goals, and who has a proven track record of real achievement, not just smooth talk. Leaders who execute look for people who energize everyone around them, who are decisive on genuinely tough issues, who get things done through others rather than trying to do everything themselves, and who follow through religiously on commitments. Once you've got these building blocks solidly in place, the right leader behaviors, the right cultural software, and the right people, you can run what the authors call the 3 core processes of execution. These are the absolute heart of the system. They're the people process, the strategy process, and the operations process. In most companies, these 3 processes exist in separate silos, completely disconnected. In a company that truly executes, they're tightly linked and fully integrated. The people process is hands down the most important of the 3. It's way more than just a once-a-year performance review. It's a continuous, rigorous assessment of talent that directly links people to the company strategy. The central question isn't, how did this person perform last year, but rather, is this person genuinely capable of taking the business to the next level? This process forces leaders to have brutally honest conversations about their people. It identifies high-potential leaders and creates concrete plans to develop them. It also identifies consistent non-performers and decides what to do about them, either coach them intensively, move them to a role where they can actually succeed, or let them go. It's all about building a deep leadership pipeline that can execute today's strategy while simultaneously creating tomorrow's. Next is the strategy process. A genuinely good strategy isn't some thick, dusty binder created by an isolated planning department. It's a simple, crystal-clear action plan created by the very people who have to execute it, the line leaders. It answers fundamental questions. What's the unvarnished reality of our business environment? Who are our competitors, and what moves are they likely to make? What's the smartest way for us to grow profitably? And, most importantly, can our organization actually execute this plan? A strategy that doesn't honestly address the how is just an elaborate wish list. The strategy process in an execution-focused company is a relentless, sometimes brutal search for reality, where every assumption gets challenged and every idea gets stress-tested against the organization's actual ability to make it happen. Finally, there's the operations process. This is where strategy gets translated into concrete, short-term actions. It's not your typical budgeting exercise, which often devolves into a tedious game of negotiating numbers. An operating plan focuses laser-like on the specific programs that will deliver the results, the product launches, the marketing campaigns, the productivity improvements. It also forces a crucial process called synchronization. It ensures that all the different parts of the organization are moving in exactly the same direction, working with common assumptions and aligned priorities. For example, if the sales team plans to launch a major promotion, the manufacturing team absolutely needs to be ready to produce the extra volume, and the finance team needs to have the cash flow lined up to support it. The operating plan is the detailed roadmap that keeps everyone marching together in lockstep. These 3 core processes, people, strategy, and operations, aren't isolated annual events. They're a continuous, interconnected looping system. The people process ensures you have exactly the right people to create a genuinely realistic strategy. The strategy process sets the clear direction for the operations process. And the operations process provides the critical feedback and hard results that inform the next round of people and strategy decisions. When a leader drives these 3 processes with genuine rigor, relentless intensity, and unflinching honesty, they create a powerful culture of execution. It becomes a place where promises are actually kept, goals are consistently met, and that frustrating gap between vision and reality simply disappears. When you really strip everything down to its essence, the message of execution is incredibly straightforward, and that's precisely what makes it so powerful. It's a wake-up call reminding us that success, in absolutely any field, isn't about magic or some mysterious genius. It's about discipline. It's about consistently showing up, confronting reality head-on, and doing the hard, often unglamorous work of transforming a plan into something tangible and real. For someone building their career in life, this lesson is absolutely invaluable. We live in a world that practically worships the big idea. We celebrate the visionary entrepreneur with the revolutionary concept. But this book serves as a powerful reminder that ideas, by themselves, are actually pretty cheap. Everyone has them. What's genuinely rare, and what's truly valuable in the marketplace, is the ability to consistently follow through. The person who can reliably get things done will always, in the long run, dramatically outperform the brilliant dreamer who can't execute. The real beauty of this framework is its universal applicability. You absolutely don't need to be a Fortune 500 CEO to apply these principles. Think about a school project, a sports team, or even just a personal goal you've set for yourself. Are you practicing those 7 essential behaviors? Are you being genuinely realistic about the challenges ahead? Have you set just a few clear priorities? Or are you trying to do way too much at once? Are you actually following through on your commitments, or are you letting things quietly slide? Are you holding yourself truly accountable? Are you learning from your inevitable mistakes and actively coaching yourself to improve? Think about how the 3 core processes apply to your own life. Your people process is about intentionally surrounding yourself with the right friends and mentors, people who genuinely challenge you, who are honest with you even when it's uncomfortable, and who hold you to a legitimately high standard. Your strategy process is about being crystal clear on where you actually want to go. What's your realistic plan for getting into the college you want, or for mastering that new skill? Is that plan grounded in an honest assessment of your genuine strengths and weaknesses? And your operations process is your daily and weekly plan of action. It's the practical how. It's breaking your big, ambitious goals down into small, genuinely manageable steps, and then having the discipline to work through them consistently, day in and day out. So here are a few simple, actionable things you can start doing literally today. First, the next time you make a plan for anything, whether big or small, don't stop at defining what you want to accomplish. Spend the majority of your time figuring out how you're actually going to do it. Ask yourself these specific questions. Who's responsible? By exactly when? How will I measure progress along the way? Second, start practicing robust dialogue. Find someone you genuinely trust and have a truly honest conversation about a goal or a problem you're facing. Don't seek comfortable harmony. Seek uncomfortable truth. Be genuinely open to hearing things that might be difficult to accept, because that's precisely where real learning and growth happen. And finally, start thinking of yourself fundamentally as a doer. Take genuine pride not just in your ideas and intentions, but in your proven ability to see them through to completion. Because ultimately, that's the discipline that will define your success more than absolutely any other factor. It's the art of finally closing that persistent gap between the person you want to be and the person you actually become. That was a summary of Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan. We've explored the core ideas today, but I'll be completely honest with you. A summary is like examining a map of a beautiful country. You can see the layout, the major cities, the rivers winding through the landscape, but you can't feel the warm sun on your skin or taste the incredible local food. The real magic happens when you actually visit the country yourself. If any of the stories or ideas we've explored today have sparked something inside you, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about absorbing concepts. It's an experience that can fundamentally transform the way you approach your goals and your entire life. The link to the book is right there in the description below. Also, if you found this summary genuinely valuable and want to continue exploring the wisdom found on the Billionaire's Bookshelf, please take just a moment to hit that subscribe button. It tells us we're heading in the right direction and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another, potentially life-changing book. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's keep growing together.